I was so excited about my future with Amanda. We had been together for 4 years and our wedding was only 6 months away. We had even found our dream home and were in the process of finalizing the purchase. Everything seemed perfect until she went on that girls' trip to Miami with her college friends. When she came back, something felt different. I never expected that a simple vacation could lead to her asking for an open relationship. It completely blindsided me. Let me know where you are watching from, and if you would take someone back after they asked to see other people. Be sure to like and subscribe as I tell you how I handled this betrayal. I met Amanda at my friend's barbecue 4 years ago. It was one of those perfect summer evenings where the weather was just right and everyone was in a good mood. I noticed her immediately standing by the drinks table looking slightly out of place. My buddy Tom had invited her as she was a coworker of his girlfriend Sarah. We started talking about our favorite hiking trails in the area, and 4 hours later, we were still deep in conversation as everyone else was heading home. There was an instant connection between us that I had never felt with anyone before. We exchanged numbers, and by the end of our first date the following weekend, I knew she was special. What made our relationship work so well was that we had similar life goals. We both wanted to establish our careers before settling down. We both wanted children eventually, but not immediately, and we both valued financial stability. These shared values made our relationship flow naturally from the beginning. After dating for a year, we decided to move in together. It was a big step, but it felt right. We found a 2-bedroom apartment that was halfway between both our workplaces. Living together showed me even more why Amanda was perfect for me. We shared responsibilities without keeping score. We communicated openly about issues before they became problems, and we genuinely enjoyed spending time together. Last year, on our 3rd anniversary, I proposed to her at Sunset Ridge, her favorite hiking spot. I had packed a picnic lunch and champagne in my backpack. When we reached the summit, I got down on one knee and asked her to marry me. Her eyes filled with tears as she said yes. That day remains one of the happiest memories of my life. After the engagement, we dove into wedding planning. Amanda had always dreamed of a fall wedding, so we set the date for October. We found a beautiful venue by a lake that would showcase the autumn colors. Every weekend was filled with tastings, meetings with vendors, and discussions about decorations. It was stressful at times, but we were both excited about starting our life together as husband and wife. Alongside wedding planning, we also began house hunting. The apartment we shared was fine, but we both wanted a place that was truly ours, somewhere we could raise a family eventually. After months of searching, we found a charming 3-bedroom house with a large backyard in a neighborhood with excellent schools. We had put in an offer, and it had been accepted just 2 weeks before Amanda's trip to Miami. Our social circle was fairly intertwined at this point. My friends had become her friends and vice versa. Both our families were supportive of our relationship. Her parents lived about 3 hours away and visited regularly. My parents were a bit further in another state, but they had welcomed Amanda into the family immediately and often joked about their future grandchildren. From the beginning of our relationship, we had been clear about our expectations regarding fidelity. We had both been in relationships where we had been cheated on, and we agreed that honesty and monogamy were non-negotiable for us. Open relationships or polyamory were never part of our discussions about the future. I thought we were on the same page about this fundamental aspect of our relationship. Amanda had remained close with 2 of her college friends, Jasmine and Tara. They lived in different states, but the 3 of them made an effort to get together at least once a year for a girls' trip. I always encouraged these friendships and never had any concerns about these vacations. The previous trips had been to Nashville, Chicago, and a wine tour in California. This year they had decided on Miami. The planning for the Miami trip had begun months in advance. They had booked a beachfront hotel and made reservations at several upscale restaurants. The trip was scheduled for 5 days, and Amanda was looking forward to some relaxation before the final push of wedding planning. I fully supported her taking this time with her friends and even drove her to the airport, kissing her goodbye and telling her to have an amazing time. While Amanda was away, I kept busy with a major project at work that required extra hours. When I was not working, I spent time with my friend Logan catching up over beers and video games. Logan had been my best friend since high school, and was going to be my best man at the wedding. During the first few days of Amanda's trip, we maintained our usual communication. She sent me pictures of the beach, their hotel room, and the fancy cocktails they were drinking. We texted throughout the day and had a brief call each night before she went to bed. Everything seemed normal, and I was happy she was having fun. Around the third day of the trip, I noticed a change in her communication patterns. Her texts became less frequent and more generic. Our nightly calls became shorter, with Amanda claiming she was tired from the sun and activities. I started feeling uneasy, but dismissed it as paranoia on my part. After all, she was on vacation with her friends and deserved to be present with them rather than constantly checking in with me. When the day came to pick Amanda up from the airport, I was excited to see her. I had cleaned the apartment, bought her favorite flowers, and planned to cook her favorite meal for dinner. But when she walked through the arrival gate, something felt off. She hugged me, but it felt mechanical, not like the warm embraces we usually shared after being apart. During the car ride home, I asked about her trip, expecting her to be full of stories and excitement. Instead, she gave brief, generic answers. It was fun. The weather was great. The hotel was nice. I attributed her behavior to travel fatigue and figured she would be more like herself after a good night's rest. That first evening back, we attempted to fall into our normal routine. I cooked dinner while she unpacked. We ate together at our dining table as we always did, but the conversation was strained. There were long silences that had never been part of our relationship before. And I noticed she kept checking her phone, smiling slightly at messages before quickly putting it face down on the table. "How are Jasmine and Tara doing?" I asked, trying to generate conversation. "They are fine," Amanda replied without elaborating. "Tara might get a promotion next month." "That is great," I said. "Did you guys do any sightseeing in Miami, or was it mostly beach time?" "A bit of both," she answered vaguely. "We went to a few clubs too." I tried several more times to hear details about her trip, but each question was met with a short answer that did not invite further discussion. Eventually, I gave up and suggested we watch a movie. She agreed, but spent most of the time scrolling through her phone rather than paying attention to the film. The next 2 days followed a similar pattern. Amanda was physically present but emotionally distant. She went to work, came home, but there was a wall between us that had never existed before. I tried to talk to her about it once, asking if everything was okay, but she assured me she was just tired and had a lot on her mind with work and wedding planning. On the third night after her return, Amanda suggested we have dinner at home together. "I have something important I want to discuss with you," she said that morning before leaving for work. Her serious tone left me anxious all day, wondering what could be so important. I came home early and prepared a nice dinner, thinking perhaps this would be the moment she would open up about whatever was bothering her. As we sat down to eat, I noticed her hands were shaking slightly as she picked up her fork. She took a deep breath before speaking. "Chevy, I have been doing a lot of thinking lately about our relationship and what I want for my future," she began, not quite meeting my eyes. My heart started beating faster as anxiety flooded through me. Was she about to break up with me? Had she met someone else? My mind raced through possibilities, but I never expected what came next. "I think we should consider having an open relationship," she said in a rush, as if saying it quickly would make it easier to hear. I stared at her, certain I had misheard. "An open relationship? What do you mean exactly?" She finally looked at me directly. "You know where we are. Still, primary partners, still getting married, but we have the freedom to explore connections with other people." I put down my fork, my appetite completely gone. "Where is this coming from, Amanda? We have never discussed anything like this before. We have always agreed on monogamy." She shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "I know, but people grow and change. I have been thinking about personal growth and exploring while we are still young. Many modern couples are doing this now. It is not about loving you less. It is about having experiences that help us grow as individuals." I sat in shocked silence, trying to process this sudden and unexpected request. After a moment, I started asking questions, trying to understand. "How long have you been thinking about this? Why now, just months before our wedding? Is there someone specific you want to be with?" Her answers were evasive and rehearsed, talking about articles she had supposedly read and podcasts about ethical non-monogamy. but she avoided my direct questions about timing and whether there was someone else. As the conversation continued, I began to realize this was not a theoretical discussion. There was something she was not telling me. Amanda, be honest with me. Did something happen in Miami? Her defensive reaction confirmed my suspicion. Why would you ask that? Do you not trust me? This is not about Miami. Jasmine, Tara, and I had some deep conversations about relationships, that is all. The argument escalated as I pushed for honesty. Finally, I noticed her phone light up on the counter with a message notification. The name Jake was visible, along with the beginning of a message that read, "Missing you already, when can we?" I pointed to the phone. "Who is Jake?" Her face paled as she lunged for the phone, but I was faster. "Give that back." "You have no right to read my messages," she shouted. I did not read any messages, but held the phone out of reach. "I am not going to read your messages, but I deserve the truth. Who is Jake, and how is he related to your sudden interest in an open relationship?" After several tense moments, Amanda slumped in her chair. "I met him at a club in Miami," she admitted quietly. "We connected, and he lives here in town. We have been texting since I got back." The pieces fell into place with devastating clarity. "So you want an open relationship because you met someone else and want my permission to continue seeing him?" Her silence was all the confirmation I needed. "I cannot believe this," I said, my voice rising with anger and disbelief. "You want me to give you permission to cheat? Is that what this is?" Amanda's eyes welled with tears. "It is not like that, Chevy. I have not done anything physical with him yet. It is just a strong connection, an attraction I cannot ignore." Yet, I repeated incredulously. "So, you are planning to, and what about our wedding? Our house, the life we have been building together for 4 years. You are willing to risk all of that for someone you met at a club less than a week ago." "I am not risking anything," she insisted. "That is why I am being honest and asking for an open relationship. I still want to marry you, still want our life together. I am just asking for some freedom to explore this connection." In that moment, I saw through her words to the truth. She was not interested in an actual open relationship with the communication boundaries and mutual consent that such arrangements require. She wanted my permission to cheat, to have her cake and eat it too. If you wanted an open relationship, this is something we should have discussed years ago, not months before our wedding, and certainly not after you have already formed an emotional connection with someone else," I said, trying to keep my voice steady despite the rage and hurt building inside me. "This is manipulation, Amanda, not honesty." Her defensive posture crumbled, and she began to cry in earnest. "I did not mean for any of this to happen. I love you, Chevy. Jake is just... I do not know. It caught me off guard. I thought being honest with you was the right thing. Honesty would have been telling me about meeting him before you started texting him behind my back," I countered. "Honesty would have been discussing open relationships in general long before our engagement, not as a solution to your current desire to be with someone else." The argument continued for hours, moving from anger to hurt to tearful apologies on her part. Eventually, I could not take any more. "I need space to think," I told her. "I am sleeping in the guest room tonight." I grabbed some essentials and shut myself in the guest bedroom, locking the door behind me. I lay awake most of the night replaying our 4 years together, questioning everything. Had there been red flags I missed? Had she done this before? Was our entire relationship built on a foundation that existed only in my mind? By morning, I had made my decision. I found Amanda in the kitchen, eyes red from crying, nursing a cup of coffee. She looked up hopefully when I entered, but her expression fell when she saw my face. "It is over," I said simply. "I want you to leave." "What? No, Chevy, please." She stood up, reaching for me. "We can work through this. I will cut off contact with Jake. I will do whatever it takes." I stepped back from her touch. "The problem is not just Jake, Amanda. It is that you were willing to throw away everything we built for a fleeting attraction. You broke my trust in the most fundamental way. Even if you never speak to him again, how can I trust that you would not do this with the next person who catches your eye?" "I made a mistake," she pleaded. "Everyone makes mistakes. Some mistakes cannot be undone," I replied. "I need you to pack your essentials and leave today." You can come back for the rest of your things when I am at work." Her pleading turned to anger, then back to tears. But I remained firm. I helped her pack a suitcase with clothes and toiletries, maintaining an emotional distance that felt necessary for my survival. She called Jasmine, who agreed to let her stay temporarily. As she wheeled her suitcase to the door, she turned to me one last time. "This is not what I want, Chevy. I love you. I made a terrible mistake, but I do not want to lose you." "You already have," I replied, closing the door behind her. The apartment felt cavernous without her presence. I sat on the couch numb with grief and shock. Then I began the painful process of informing people about our canceled wedding. I called the venue first, then my parents. Each call made it more real, more permanent. Over the next week, my phone was flooded with messages and calls. Amanda texted and called multiple times a day, alternating between apologies and accusations that I was being too harsh, that I was throwing away our relationship over a mistake she had not even acted on physically. Her friends reached out too. Tara called to tell me I was overreacting, that Amanda had just been confused but loved me deeply. Jasmine sent a long text explaining how Amanda was devastated and begging me to at least talk to her. Then came the revelation that broke me all over again. A mutual friend, Sarah, sent me screenshots from social media that someone else had taken at the club in Miami. There was Amanda wrapped in an intimate embrace with a man on a dance floor. Their lips were inches apart, his hands on her waist, hers around his neck. "I thought you should know the truth," Sarah's message read. This was from their second night in Miami. The guy tagged Amanda in his story but deleted it later. I collapsed onto the floor of my apartment, the phone clattering beside me. The physical evidence of her betrayal was too much to bear. I called Logan, who came over immediately with beer and pizza, sitting with me in silence until I was ready to talk. She lied again, I told him, showing him the picture. She was already physical with him in Miami. Everything she said was a lie. Through my network of friends, I learned that Amanda was still in contact with Jake despite her promises to cut him off. She had been seen having coffee with him just 2 days after moving out. The knowledge hurt, but also reinforced that I had made the right decision. The next weeks were filled with the grim logistics of dismantling the life we had planned together. I contacted all the wedding vendors to cancel, losing deposits, but not caring about the money. I called the real estate agent to withdraw our offer on the house, grateful that the paperwork had not been finalized yet. With Logan's help, I boxed up the rest of Amanda's belongings. Clothes, books, the collection of vintage vinyl records she loved, the artwork she had chosen for our walls. Each item carried memories that now felt tainted. When she came to collect her boxes, it was the first time I had seen her in weeks. She looked thinner, with dark circles under her eyes that matched my own. "Can we talk?" she asked tentatively. Just for a few minutes I agreed, but remained standing, arms crossed, a physical barrier between us. "I made a terrible mistake," she said, her voice breaking. "I have ended things with Jake completely. It was nothing, a stupid mistake that meant nothing. What we have is real, Chevy. 4 years cannot be thrown away over one mistake." "It was not one mistake," I replied calmly. "It was a series of deliberate choices. You chose to get close to him in Miami. You chose to exchange numbers. You chose to lie to me about it. You chose to ask for an open relationship as a cover for your affair. And you chose to continue seeing him after promising you would not." She had no response to that, just more tears and apologies. I helped her carry the boxes to her car, and as she drove away, I felt a chapter of my life closing definitively. The weeks after Amanda left were some of the darkest of my life. I isolated myself, ignoring calls from friends, taking time off work, and spending days in a fog of anger and confusion. I questioned my worth, wondering what I had done wrong, what I had missed, or what was lacking in me that had made her look elsewhere. Logan was relentless in his support, showing up at my apartment with food, dragging me out for runs, and simply sitting with me when I needed company but not conversation. Gradually, other friends joined his efforts. My buddy Tom invited me to poker nights. My coworker Jenna made sure I ate lunch during workdays. Their collective care became a safety net that caught me when I felt like I was falling. Untangling our shared life was complicated. We had joint bank accounts, shared streaming services, and years of accumulated belongings that needed to be sorted. Each decision about who kept what felt like another small wound. The coffee maker she had given me for Christmas, the couch we had picked out together, the framed photo of us from a trip to Hawaii that I finally put in a drawer because I could not bear to look at it, but also could not bring myself to throw away. The house we had almost bought became another person's home. I drove by it once a month after everything fell apart and saw a young family moving in a child's bicycle already placed hopefully in the driveway. It hurt, but there was also relief in knowing that life continued, that spaces emptied by loss could be filled again with new possibilities. I threw myself into work, taking on extra projects that kept me at the office late into the evenings. The distraction was welcome, but my boss, Ryan, eventually called me into his office concerned about burnout. He suggested I speak with someone professional, a recommendation I initially resisted but eventually accepted. My therapist, Dr. Marshall, helped me process not just the betrayal but also the grief for the future I had lost. You are not just mourning the relationship, he explained. You are mourning the life you had planned, the identity you had as part of a couple, the security of knowing what comes next. Slowly I began rebuilding. I started small, establishing a new routine that was entirely my own. Morning runs along routes Amanda and I had never taken together, cooking classes on Wednesday evenings, volunteering at a local animal shelter on weekends. Each new activity became a stitch in the tapestry of my new life, one that existed independently of her. Running into mutual friends was awkward at first. Some took sides, others tried to maintain relationships with both of us, carefully avoiding mentioning one to the other. I did not ask about Amanda, but information filtered through nonetheless. I learned that her relationship with Jake had fizzled out after just 2 months, exactly as I had predicted. A fleeting attraction had cost her a 4-year relationship and a future we had both wanted. She made multiple attempts to reconcile, heartfelt emails, a handwritten letter left on my car, a bouquet of flowers delivered to my office on what would have been our wedding day. I never responded. The door to that chapter of my life had closed, and I had no desire to reopen it. 6 months after our breakup, I was not fully healed, but I was functional. I had moments of happiness that did not feel guilty or stolen. I could go days without thinking of Amanda, though. Something would occasionally trigger a memory, a song on the radio, a restaurant we had frequented, the specific shade of purple she had favored in her clothing. I decided to move to a different apartment somewhere, without the ghost of our relationship haunting every corner. The new place was smaller but filled with natural light, with a balcony where I grew herbs and tomatoes. It became my sanctuary, decorated only with things that had no connection to my past. As part of my healing, I reconnected with old friends I had neglected during my relationship. My college roommate Daniel visited from out of state. I resumed monthly dinners with my cousins who lived nearby. These connections reminded me that my life had depth and meaning outside of romantic relationships, that I was whole on my own. 8 months after the breakup, I felt ready to consider dating again. I had no interest in apps or setups, preferring to let connections develop naturally. That is how I met Brooke at a cooking class I had been attending for months. She had joined late in the series, and we were partnered together to prepare a complex pasta dish that required coordination and communication. Our first date was coffee, intentionally brief and low pressure. I was honest with her about my recent past, not sharing every painful detail, but making it clear that I was still processing a significant betrayal. Brooke appreciated the honesty and shared her own story of a relationship that had ended badly 2 years prior. We took things slowly, both cautious about repeating past mistakes. I was careful to establish clear boundaries from the beginning, communicating openly about expectations and needs. The relationship developed gently, without the whirlwind intensity I had experienced with Amanda, but with a depth of understanding that felt more substantial. A year after Amanda had returned from Miami with her relationship-altering request, I found myself reflecting on the journey. The pain had dulled, though it still surfaced occasionally. But now I could recognize how that painful experience had taught me invaluable lessons about my own worth. I was grateful in a strange way that I had discovered Amanda's true character before marriage, before children, before our lives had become even more intertwined. The experience had shown me what I truly valued in a relationship: honesty, loyalty, and respect were non-negotiable. I understood now that healthy relationships do not require ultimatums or dramatic gestures. They are built on daily choices to honor commitments, to communicate honestly, to consider your partner's well-being alongside your own. Real love does not ask you to compromise your values or accept less than you deserve. The courage to walk away from someone you love when they betray your trust is not weakness, but strength. It is an acknowledgement of your own value, a declaration that you would rather be alone than accept dishonesty and disrespect. That knowledge has been the foundation upon which I have rebuilt my life. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to close a door firmly, even when every emotion is screaming for you to leave it ajar. I closed that door, and though the path beyond was initially dark and frightening, it has led me to a place of greater self-knowledge and peace than I could have imagined in those first painful days. Have you ever had to walk away from a relationship that was hurting you, even though part of you wanted to stay? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share with someone who might need to hear that it is okay to choose themselves. Thank you for listening, and remember, your worth is not determined by someone else's ability to recognize it.